Loading accents? How can I see God's faithfulness with this? Thank you so much for joining us. We are looking at Faithful Friday, where God's showing His faithfulness to us people. So in today's Faithful Friday, we're looking at a story from 2 Kings, where one of the most awesome prophets named Elisha is there. And this is a very odd story of how this all came to be, but it actually gives me such faith and hope in seeing God's faithfulness even when it really didn't seem that significant. So here's the story of what basically went on. Elisha was living in this place somewhere near the Jordan River, and there was a group of young men that were called the sons of the prophets that lived with him. And I guess the group was getting pretty big, and they came to Elisha and said, "Hey, our group's a little big. Can we go out there and make a new house for ourselves?" And so Elisha said, "Yeah, that's fine." And then they asked if they could go and cut down trees by the Jordan. Again, Elisha said, "That's fine." Then they asked Elisha, "Come with us. We don't want to go alone." Okay, he said he would come with them. And then while they're chopping down trees by the Jordan River, one of the young men, the head of his axe fell in the river, and he freaks out. And he's like, "What? I didn't even own that axe. I borrowed it and I don't have the money to replace it." He was freaking out. And Elisha steps in and does this very unusual step with, asking the general location, and he throws a stick in and the axe head pops up and starts floating. A steel axe head floating on the water. Basically, this was a miracle. In other words, God stepped in this relatively insignificant circumstance. There were at that day so many important things going on, and wars and all this crazy stuff, famine, pestilence. But God stepped in for this young man who felt incredibly sad that he lost his axe head, or a borrowed axe head. And here's where I think this story is awesome, because you know what? There are so many problems and things that are in my life that I worry about that honestly, in the grand scheme of things, are pretty insignificant. And I might be tempted, and maybe you're tempted sometimes, to think, maybe I shouldn't even pray about this because God's probably too busy with other stuff, really important stuff, But God actually cares about you. And He cares about me and what's going on in our life, our hopes, our dreams, our fears. He cares about it all. And He wants to hear from you. He wants to hear your heart. And He wants to meet you right where you're at. In our story here of His faithfulness, He steps in and performs a miracle, even though the situation was relatively insignificant. And God wants to step in your life and in my life and perform miracles, maybe even things we're not expecting. Maybe He wants to step in ways that we're not even asking. Or maybe they are ways and we just need to be patient for it. But the point is, trust God. He does care about you. He cares about what's going on in your life. And He wants to meet you right where you're at. And He even wants to step in and perform miracles. Trust God today. I sure love you guys.